Commander Ashley Breyer stood on the bridge of the Silent Blade, her Venator-class star destroyer cutting through the black void of space like a silver dagger. At 24, she was the youngest officer in the Galactic Republic Navy to command a ship of its class, a fact that drew whispers of nepotism from jealous peers until they saw her in battle. Her blonde hair, usually pinned tightly beneath her officer's cap, caught the sterile light of the holographic tactical displays. Her ice-blue eyes scanned the flickering readouts, missing nothing.
Born into Coruscant's upper tiers, Ashley had traded gilded ballrooms for durasteel corridors. While her sisters attended soirees, she memorized star charts. At 18, when the Clone Wars erupted, she'd been aboard an Acclamator-class assault ship during the First Battle of Geonosis, not as a spectator, but as a junior tactical officer. She'd watched the first wave of clone transports burn in the atmosphere, their wreckage streaking like meteors. When the ship's captain took a shrapnel burst to the throat, Ashley seized the comm. Her voice, steady as a proton torpedo's trajectory, coordinated the surviving LAAT gunships, clearing a path for Master Yoda's ground forces. The Jedi hadn't thanked her. They'd saluted. Now the Silent Blade was her masterpiece. The Venator's angular hull bore scars from the Malevolence campaign, its starfighter complement replenished twice over. Her crew, a mix of battle-hardened clones and volunteers from 100 worlds, moved with the precision of droid processors. Even the Jedi generals assigned to her ship deferred to her during fleet engagements. "The Force is my ally," Master Plo Koon had once said during the siege of Christophsis. But Commander Breyer's targeting solutions are divine.
Her reputation for unorthodox tactics spread faster than a hyperlane rumor. During the defense of Camino, she'd ordered the Silent Blade's ventral hangar flooded, using the water's refraction to scatter a separatist ion cannon's beam. When Admiral Ulleran criticized the risk, she'd replied, "The hangar was empty, sir. My pilots preferred dry cockpits." The resulting counterattack saved Tipoca City's cloning facilities and earned her a rare smile from the stoic clone captain of the 501st.
But war had its costs. Ashley's academy sweetheart, a Twi'lek navigator, had vanished during the Ryloth blockade. Some nights, she'd stand alone in the observation deck, her reflection floating among the stars, and wonder if the Republic's ideals were worth the bones they paved them with. Then the comm would crackle, a distress signal from a besieged colony, a Jedi's urgent request for orbital support. And Commander Breyer would straighten her jacket, her voice slicing through the static. "All batteries, fire at will. Keep those transports clear."
The clones called her Bladebreaker behind her back. Not for the ship's name, but for her habit of ending engagements with a single surgical strike. The Separatists called her worse. To the galaxy, she was a hero. To the Silent Blade's crew, she was the storm that kept them alive. And in the quiet moments between battles, Ashley Breyer would trace the Coruscant skyline on her datapad, a girl who'd traded her world for the stars, and knew she'd make the same choice again.
The Silent Blade tore through hyperspace, its azure vortex casting jagged shadows across Ashley's face as the hologram of Jedi Master Mace Windu flickered before her. "Intel confirms Maul's Death Watch has fortified Sundari's dome with disruptor cannons," he said, his voice gravelly with fatigue. "Ahsoka Tano's strike team moves at dawn. Your orders: blockade the planet, disable their fleet, and ensure nothing escapes that atmosphere." Behind him, Coruscant's skyline burned in the distance, General Grievous's flagship looming like a skeletal hand over the Senate district.
Ashley's fingers tightened around her datapad. "Understood, Master Windu. But with the bulk of the fleet at Coruscant..." "Hold Mandalore, Commander," he interrupted. or the entire outer rim becomes a separatist highway to the core. The transmission died, leaving only the hum of the ship's reactors.
300 hours. Mandalore's orbit.
The silent blade reverted to real space with a thunderous groan. Below, Mandalore's barren surface glittered like shattered glass, and above it hovered 3 Recusant-class destroyers, their hulls crawling with vulture droids. "Shields to full! Launch all fighters!" Ashley barked, her voice cutting through the blare of proximity alarms. "Target their engines! Disable! Don't destroy! We need those ships intact for the Republic!"
Clone crews scrambled as V-19 torrents screamed from the Venator's hangars. Separatist tri-fighters swarmed, green laser fire stitching across the void. On the tactical holomap, a cluster of red dots veered toward the planet's northern hemisphere. "Maul's trying to evacuate," Ashley muttered. "Gunnery, load ion cannons. Fire on my mark."
0400 hours. Sundari Royal Palace. Ahsoka. Tano ducked behind a crumbling pillar as crimson blaster bolts scorched the air. Maul's commandos, black-armored Deathwatch zealots, pinned her squad in the throne room's antechamber.
"Where's the silent blade?" shouted Captain Rex, his helmet cracked from a vibroblade slash. As if answering, the dome above them trembled. A shadow blotted out Mandalore's sun, the Venator's belly eclipsing the sky. Then, a rain of blue ion pulses slammed into the palace's eastern wing, frying the disruptor cannons mounted there. "That's our cue." Ahsoka ignited her lightsabers, leaping over the barricade. "Advance." 0422 hours. Silent Blade Bridge. "Commander, Separatist reinforcements exiting hyperspace." A clone sensor officer pointed at the holomap. A Providence-class carrier flanked by droid gunships materialized off the starboard bow. Ashley didn't blink. "Divert power from aft shields to turbo lasers. Target their hangar bays." "But that'll leave our engines exposed." "Do it." The Venator shuddered as emerald beams lanced out, piercing the Providence's launch decks. Fuel pods detonated in a chain reaction, engulfing the carrier in a fireball that briefly lit Mandalore's ash-gray plains. "Engine room reports damage to lateral thrusters," shouted an ensign.
"Save the diagnostics for later," Ashley snapped. "Where's Maul?"
0435 hours. Sundari Docking Bay.
Maul's snarling face twisted beneath his horned crown as he boarded a modified Commerk-class fighter. "The Republic's puppets will burn for this."
A clone mortar blast rocked the hangar, throwing the Sith Lord against his ship's hull. Ahsoka lunged, her white blades a blur. Metal shrieked as Maul's double-bladed lightsaber clashed against hers, the impact cracking the durasteel floor.
"You're finished, Maul," Ahsoka growled, forcing him back toward the boarding ramp. "You think this is victory?" he spat. "The galaxy is being reshaped in the dark, and your precious Republic will die screaming." A deafening explosion overhead cut him off. The dome's reinforced glass splintered as a flaming vulture droid carcass plummeted, spearing through the hangar's ceiling. Maul seized the distraction, force-kicking Ahsoka into a fuel canister before darting into his ship. 0440 hours. Mandalore's upper atmosphere. Ashley saw the Commerk fighter streak upward on her view screen. "He's heading for the Providence wreckage. Cut him off." The Silent Blade's engines roared, closing the gap. Maul's ship spiraled, dodging turbolaser fire. "Angle deflector shields forward," Ashley ordered. "Ram him if you have to." "Ma'am?" "Do it!" The Venator's massive prow slammed into the Commerk's port wing, shearing it clean off. The crippled fighter spun wildly, crashing onto the Star Destroyer's dorsal hangar bay. 0455 hours. Silent Blade hangar. Ashley met Ahsoka in the smoke-choked hangar,
blaster drawn. Maul emerged from his ship's wreckage, limping but still lethal, his lightsaber casting a hellish glow. "Clever girl," he hissed, "but you've only hastened the—" A stun ring from Ashley's pistol hit him square in the chest. The Sith Lord collapsed mid-sentence, his weapon clattering to the deck. Ahsoka arched a brow. "That's it?" Ashley holstered her blaster. "I read your reports on Naboo. No monologuing." As clone troopers dragged Maul away, the comms officer's voice crackled overhead. "Priority alert from Coruscant. Grievous has fled. The Chancellor's been rescued. Repeat, Palpatine is safe." The crew erupted in cheers. Ashley didn't join them. Her eyes stayed fixed on the hologram of Coruscant's smoldering skyline and the strange, serpentine warship escaping into hyperspace. "Something's wrong," she murmured. Ahsoka followed her gaze. "What?"
That ship. Why does it feel like we just let something worse slip through?
But the warning klaxons drowned her out. Somewhere in the unknown regions, a protocol droid activated a hologram of a hooded figure. "Execute Order 66. The Silent Blade's halls felt like a tomb as Ashley strode toward the hangar, her boots echoing against durasteel still scarred from Mandalore. The clones who'd once saluted her now watched in silence, their helmets tipped with the cold white of the newly minted 501st Imperial Legion. She kept her face neutral, her officer's cap pulled low. They don't know. They can't know. 3 days earlier, the holonet had erupted with news of the Jedi's treason. Ashley had been mid-jump to Coruscant when the emergency transmission crackled over the Silent Blade's comms. "All Republic personnel, execute Contingency Order 66. Jedi are enemies of the state." She'd frozen, the blood draining from her face as the clones on the bridge turned toward her, rifles humming. But there were no Jedi aboard. Ahsoka and Maul had been transferred to a separate Venator, Resolute, under Captain Rex's command, hours before the order. When Ashley tried to hail them, static answered. By the time she'd reached Coruscant, the Republic was dead. In its place loomed the Galactic Empire, its banners already staining the Senate Dome black. Imperial Center, Coruscant. 48 hours post-Order 66.
The shuttle bay reeked of ion exhaust and fear. An ISB agent in a crisp gray uniform waited at the ramp, his glare sharp enough to cut transparent steel. "Commander Breyer, follow me."
Coruscant's skyline was unrecognizable. AT-ATs patrolled the once bustling avenue of the core founders, their footfalls crushing protest hollows of Palpatine's gaunt face. The Jedi Temple smoldered in the distance, its spires clawing at a smoke-choked sky. Ashley's stomach turned. She'd danced there once, at a cadet ball, with a Pantoran Jedi Padawan who'd shyly asked her about starfighter engine specs. The debriefing room was a sterile cube. A hologram of the new Emperor flickered above the table, his voice syrupy with faux grief. Tragic betrayal by the Jedi. Necessary sacrifices. A gray-haired Imperial Admiral cut the recording. "Your service record is exceptional, Commander. The Emperor himself has taken notice." He slid a datapad toward her. "But recent events require clarification. Why did you withhold fleet codes from the Resolute during the Mandalore operation?" Ashley's pulse spiked. "They know. Standard protocol for classified missions, sir. Master Windu's orders." The Admiral's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Of course. And the Jedi Tano? Any suspicion of her collusion with the traitors?"
"She followed your orders to capture Maul," Ashley said flatly. "Unless the Senate now condemns loyalty."
The door hissed open. A woman entered, ISB Colonel Valen Krell, her uniform adorned with Imperial crests forged from Mandalorian iron. Loyalty requires proof, Commander. You're to submit to a full mind scan. For transparency. Ashley's hand drifted toward her sidearm. 8 stormtroopers flanked the exits.
Decline, Krell purred, and your crew will be re-educated, starting with that Twi'lek engineer you've been protecting.
That night, Imperial Naval Barracks. Ashley stared at her reflection in the barracks' fogged mirror, her fingertips brushing the raw scalp where the mind probe needles had burrowed. They'd found nothing. Of course they didn't. She'd buried the memories too deep. The way Ahsoka's eyes had lingered on Maul's stun cuffs. The unencrypted message she'd sent to the Resolute's nav computer hours before Order 66. Rex, if things go dark, jump to hyperspace. Don't look back. A chime rang. The holoprojector on her nightstand activated, displaying a promotion notice. Commodore Ashley Breyer. Command, Star Destroyer Imperial Fist. Assignment, Outer Rim Pacification. Beneath it, a second message glitched into view. An encrypted string only a Republic crypto officer would recognize. Ashley's breath hitched as she decoded it. Plus transmission. Origin unknown. Plus content. Audio file. Plus playing. Static. Then a familiar voice, frayed but alive. Ashley, it's Ahsoka. Rex and I, we're safe. For now. Maul's gone. He said something before they took him. The Empire's a mask. The Sith wear it, but the thing underneath. Listen, I need you to... The recording dissolved into screeches. When it cleared, only 3 words remained. Find us. Bring light. Dawn. Imperial Naval Dockyards. The Imperial Fist loomed, a dagger-shaped Victory-class Star Destroyer, its hull still stinking of Quat's shipyards. Ashley climbed the gangway, her new rank plaque heavy on her chest. Stormtroopers saluted, their armor polished to a soulless sheen.
Colonel Krell waited on the bridge. Commodore, a gift from the Emperor. She gestured to a black-robed figure lurking in the shadows, an Inquisitor, their crimson lightsaber hilt gleaming. To ensure your focus during pacification.
Ashley met the Inquisitor's yellowed gaze. Jedi, or what's left of one. How thoughtful.
As the Imperial Fist ascended through Coruscant's polluted skies, Ashley glanced at the holomap. The outer rim sprawled before her, a hunting ground for Imperial wrath. But her finger hovered over a different sector. The coordinates Ahsoka's garbled message had hinted at, deep in the Tingel arm. Bring light.
She input a nav course, officially for a routine patrol. The Inquisitor watched, silent. Somewhere in the unknown regions, a lone Venator drifted, its hull scorched and transponders dead. Aboard it, a clone captain removed his helmet, his eyes haunted by a choice he couldn't remember making. War was over. But the fight had just begun. The Imperial Fist tore through hyperspace, its shadow eclipsing the emerald swirl of Raxus Secundus. Ashley stood rigid on the bridge, her gloved hands clasped behind her back. Below, the planet's once opulent cities lay scarred by ion burns, their spired separatist architecture now draped with Imperial banners. The air crackled with the aftermath of orbital bombardment. Colonel Krell's hologram flickered beside her. Intel confirms surviving council members are hiding in the old parliamentary vaults beneath Raxilon. You'll glass the outskirts, then deploy ground forces. The Emperor wants their heads public, Commodore. Make it a lesson. Ashley's expression didn't shift. Understood. The Inquisitor, third sister, they called her, drifted closer, her breath hissing through the respirator grafted to her face. You hesitate.
Ashley turned slowly. I've destroyed 100 worlds. Hesitation's a luxury for Jedi.
0700 hours. Raxulon City perimeter. AT-ATs crunched through the skeletal remains of droidecas, their cannons vaporizing makeshift barricades erected from droid parts and shattered statues of Count Dooku. Ashley marched ahead of her stormtrooper phalanx, her black Imperial officer's coat flaring in the sulphurous wind.
"The rats are cornered," shouted a clone captain, CT-9932, his armor now Imperial white. "Vaults sealed behind ray shields. They've got old commando droids inside."
Ashley eyed the blast doors. "Bring up the SPHATs." "Ma'am, the collateral damage."
"Do you see civilians here, Lieutenant?" Her voice was colder than Raxus's polar ice caps. "Fire."
0723 hours. Separatist Council Vault. The molten remains of the vault doors dripped like candle wax. Inside, a dozen Neimoidian and Gossam dignitaries huddled behind a flickering energy shield, their jeweled robes singed. A skeletal T-Series tactical droid stepped forward, its vocoder rasping. "You are violating galactic." Ashley shot it through the head. The shield generator sparked and died. "Magistrate Vel," she said, leveling her blaster at a trembling Gossam clutching a CIS standard. "The Senate voted you a traitor. Kneel." The alien spat. "Your empire is a carcass. The Separatist Alliance will rise." A single bolt between the eyes silenced him.
"Anyone else feeling poetic?" Ashley asked.
800 hours, Raxulon Central Plaza. The crowd gathered under the watchful glare of ATSTs. Ashley stood atop a repurposed Separatist holostage, Magistrate Vel's body dumped at her boots. Stormtroopers dragged the remaining council members forward. "The Confederacy is dead," Ashley announced, her voice amplified across the plaza. "Defy the Empire, and you join its ghosts." A child hurled a rock. It clattered off a trooper's chest plate.
"Wait!" A Twi'lek woman lunged from the crowd, only to be stunned by a shock baton. Ashley's finger tightened on her blaster. A Jedi would have flinched here, she thought. But Jedi are dead. Execute them.
Red bolts flashed. The crowd screamed. That night, Imperial Fist Officers' Quarters.
Ashley stared at her reflection, scrubbing dried ash from her face. The debriefing had been effusive. Krell called her a model Imperial. The Inquisitor had vanished, unsatisfied, into the ship's bowels.
A chime broke the silence. On her terminal, a security feed from the hangar blinked. A stormtrooper removing his helmet to pass a data chip to a cloaked figure. Spy. She almost deleted it. Then she recognized the trooper's face. CT-5531-Crest. Her old gunner from the Silent Blade. The chip's contents were encrypted. Ashley's hands moved automatically, inputting a decryption key she'd buried in her mind years ago.
A hologram flared. Ahsoka Tano. Her montrals longer, face hardened. "Raxus is a test. They're watching you. But there's a convoy leaving Kessel next week. Prisoners. Jedi children. If you're still the woman who fought with me on Mandalore, meet us here."
Coordinates followed. A nameless moon in the Roche system. Ashley erased the message. For a moment, she saw another face. The Pantoran Jedi from Coruscant, laughing as they danced. What was his name? She couldn't remember. Next, dawn. Bridge of the Imperial Fist. The Inquisitor materialized beside the nav console. "Your orders, Commodore?" Ashley input coordinates without looking up. "Kessel. Intel suggests rebel activity." "Rebel?" The Inquisitor's saber hissed to life. "A Jedi lie." "No." Ashley met her gaze. "A threat."
As the Star Destroyer lurched into hyperspace, she glanced at the holomap. The Roche system glowed faintly, a graveyard of dead stars.
"Bring light." Ashley's hand brushed her sidearm. or end it. The Imperial fist shuddered as it reverted from hyperspace, the jagged asteroid field of the Roche system clawing at its shields. Ashley stood at the bridge viewport, her reflection fractured by the crimson glow of Kessel's prison convoy ahead. A skeletal Gazanti-class cruiser flanked by TIE fighters. Her fingers tightened around the datapad hidden in her sleeve. One time. For old times. "Commodore!" the third sister hissed, her yellowed eyes narrowing. "This is no rebel convoy. Those are Imperial prisoner transports." Ashley didn't turn. Intel indicated stolen codes. Or are you questioning the Emperor's intelligence network? The Inquisitor's lightsaber hummed to life. I question yours. You've been distracted since Raxus. A memory flickered. Anakin Skywalker, his fighter spiraling over Christophsis, drawing fire so Ashley's acclimator could bombard separatist artillery. "Keep those guns hot, Commander. I didn't come here to die pretty." She shoved the thought aside. "Target their engines," Ashley ordered. "Disable, don't destroy. Boarding parties on standby." The ambush. Chaos erupted as the Imperial Fist's ion cannons lanced out, crippling the Gazanti's thrusters. TIE fighters veered to engage, only to be shredded by pre-programmed turbolaser patterns Ashley had drilled into her gunners years ago. Anakin's move, the Reaper's gambit.
"Scrambling their comms," snapped a clone officer. "No distress signals."
Ashley nodded. "Good. Prepare my shuttle."
The Inquisitor blocked her path. "I will lead the boarding party."
"You'll scare the prisoners into suicide," Ashley said coldly. "This requires precision. Or would you rather explain to Vader why you let Jedi younglings die before interrogation?" The third sister recoiled at the name. Ashley swept past, her cloak billowing. The extraction. The Gazanti's hold reeked of carbon scoring and fear. 16 children huddled behind a barricade of shattered crates, their faces gaunt under flickering emergency lights. A Togruta girl brandished a vibroblade. "Stay back!" Ashley removed her helmet. "You're Ahsoka's lot, aren't you?" The girl froze. How do you know Master Tano?" Master. The word stung. Ahsoka had never taken the title, even after leaving the Jedi. Another life. "She's waiting on the moon. Tell her..." Ashley tossed the girl a homing beacon. "Tell her Skywalker's shadow sends her regards." Boots clanged in the corridor. The Inquisitor. Ashley grabbed the Togruta's wrist. "Run, now!" The lie. Back aboard the Imperial Fist, Ashley faced the third sister in the hangar, the Gazanti's wreckage burning behind them.
"No survivors," Ashley said flatly. "Rebels scuttled the ship."
The Inquisitor's gaze drilled into her. Convenient. War is.
A holoprojector activated. Emperor Palpatine's gnarled visage. "Commodore Breyer, your efficiency at Kessel pleases us. The outer rim grows tranquil."
Ashley saluted. "The Empire's peace is my mandate, Your Majesty." As the hologram faded, the third sister leaned close. "I smell your weakness. Jedi stink on you."
Ashley's blaster pressed into the Inquisitor's gut. "And I smell your failure. How many Jedi has Vader killed this week?"
The Inquisitor retreated, snarling. Epilogue. Loyalty. Alone in her quarters, Ashley opened a hidden compartment. Inside, a cracked holodisc from the Clone Wars. She activated it, a grainy image of Ahsoka and Anakin laughing on the Resolute's deck, Rex rolling his eyes behind them. Anakin's hand clapped Ashley's shoulder after she'd saved his squadron at Botha-Wui. "You're not totally hopeless, Breyer." She erased the disc. Enough. The next morning, Ashley stood at a Star Destroyer assembly yard on Kuat, watching skeletal Imperial-class hulls blot out the sun. Colonel Krell approached, smug. "The Emperor requests your presence on Lothal, a rebel cell led by a Jedi."
Ashley donned her gloves. "I'll leave at once."
As her shuttle ascended, she glanced at encrypted coordinates still burned into her retina. Ahsoka's last known location in the Outer Rim. Goodbye, old friend. The Empire had no room for ghosts. But as the stars blurred to hyperspace, Ashley Breyer, hero of the Republic, butcher of Raxus, allowed herself one final thought.
May the Force be with you, Ahsoka, because it's sure as hell not with me.
Lothal's dusty plain stretched beneath the Imperial fist like a scarred canvas, the Star Destroyer's shadow darkening the spires of Capital City. Commodore Breyer descended the shuttle ramp, her polished boots crunching on gravel. The air smelled of ionized metal and fear, rebel stench. Stormtroopers flanked her, their armor gleaming under twin suns. Colonel Krell awaited her at the base of an AT-AT, a datapad clutched in her talon-like grip. "The cell's leader is a Jedi Knight. Designation, Kanan Jarrus. He's amassing weapons in the old fuel depot. Your orders are to eliminate him, and any collaborators." Ashley's gaze drifted to the horizon, where Lothal's rolling grasslands met the sky. A memory flickered. Ahsoka's voice, weary but defiant. "The Empire can't kill hope, Ashley."
She crushed the thought. Flatten the depot. Send in probe droids to scan for survivors.
Nightfall. Lothal Fuel Depot. The depot burned, its skeletal framework collapsing under artillery fire. Ashley strode through the carnage, her cape singed by embers. Clone troopers, now stormtroopers, dragged captured rebels to transports, their faces bloodied but unbroken. A shout echoed from a crumbling catwalk. A Lasat rebel, his fur matted with ash, hurled a thermal detonator into an AT-ST's cockpit. The walker exploded, shrapnel raining down. "Focus fire on the brute," Ashley barked into her comlink. Before the troopers could react, a blue lightsaber blade sliced through the smoke. Kanan Jarrus leapt from the flames, deflecting blaster bolts with fluid grace. His Padawan, a spectacled teenager, darted behind him, lobbing ion grenades.
Ashley's hand hovered over her sidearm. Anakin's lightsaber had been blue, too.
The third sister materialized beside her, lightsaber screeching. "The Jedi is mine." The duel. Kanan parried the Inquisitor's crimson blade, their clash scattering sparks. "You're hunting the wrong enemy," he growled. "The Empire's using you." The Inquisitor laughed, her strikes frenzied. "And you're using dead ideals!" Ashley watched, cold, as the third sister forced Kanan toward a fuel tanker. One shot to the tanker's valve would end this. Her finger twitched on her blaster.
A scream cut through the din. The Padawan, cornered by stormtroopers. Kanan's focus wavered. The Inquisitor's blade grazed his shoulder.
Anakin's voice, sharp in her mind. "Never let the enemy regroup, Commander!"
Ashley fired. The tanker exploded, hurling the Inquisitor and Kanan apart. The Padawan lunged, dragging her master into a sewer grate as flames engulfed the depot.
Aftermath. Imperial Command Center. The third sister seethed in the medbay, her armor charred. "You interfered." Ashley didn't look up from the holomap. "You were losing. The Emperor prefers results over your pride." Krell entered, her smirk venomous. "The rebels escaped, but your methods remain admirable, Commodore. We've identified their sympathizers in the city. You'll oversee the interrogations." Ashley's jaw tightened. "Children?" "Traitors," Krell corrected. "The interrogation."
The cell reeked of Bacta and despair. A Twi'lek girl, no older than 16, trembled in the chair. I didn't know they were rebels. I just fed the Tukas.
Ashley circled her, gloved hand brushing the shock collar remote. Lies waste my time. The girl sobbed. Please.
A flash. Ahsoka's message. Bring light.
Ashley crushed the remote. Garbage intel. Transfer her to the spice mines. The stormtroopers hesitated. But protocol? Now. Dawn, the edge of reason.
Ashley stood atop the command center, Lothal's winds tearing at her hair. The third sister approached, her rancor barely contained. You grow soft, Commodore.
You grow predictable, Ashley countered. She activated a holodisk, footage of the Inquisitor's duel, her reckless strikes laid bare. How long before Vader questions your dedication? The Inquisitor recoiled. You wouldn't.
Test me!
As the Inquisitor fled, Ashley glanced at the stars. Somewhere, Kanan's crew licked their wounds. Somewhere, Ahsoka plotted. Let them. She'd made her choice. The Empire was order. The Empire was peace. And Ashley Breyer? She was the storm that enforced both. The Imperial fist shuddered out of hyperspace above the smoldering ruin of Faline's orbital refinery, its skeletal framework glowing from internal fires. Vader's flagship, the Devastator, loomed like a charred claw, its turbolasers scorching debris fields where rebel Z-95s dueled TIE fighters. Ashley's comm crackled with the Dark Lord's distorted baritone. Breach Hangar Bay Theta, the Jedi is mine, but your efficiency may prove useful. She clenched her jaw. His voice still carried the ghost of Anakin's dry wit. Hangar Bay Theta.
Ashley stormed through the refinery's shattered airlock, flanked by death troopers. The cavernous hangar echoed with the shriek of clashing lightsabers. Vader circled the Jedi Master, a grizzled Kel Dor, his amber blade whirling in a defensive Sorisu stance. The third sister lay crumpled nearby, her left arm severed, snarling as she force-choked a rebel soldier.
You are weak, Vader thundered, deflecting a flurry of strikes. The Force abandons traitors.
The Keldor's breath mask hissed. And yet you choke on its shadow, Skywalker. Vader's blade surged, shearing through a support beam. The Jedi pivoted, too slow. The crimson saber grazed his thigh, sending him staggering into the path of the enraged Inquisitor.
Die, relic! The third sister lunged, her blade aimed for his heart. The Keldor twisted, impaling her through the chest. Her scream died as his saber erupted from her back, its tip sizzling inches from Ashley's boots. Time slowed. The Jedi struggled to yank his weapon free. The Inquisitor's corpse snarled on its hilt. Ashley raised her DL-44, exhaled, and fired. A single crimson bolt punched through the third sister's skull, liquefying her left eye before exploding out her temple and into the Keldor's throat. His head jerked back, tendons snapping, a geyser of arterial blood spraying Vader's chest plate. The Jedi crumpled, his head dangling by a strip of flesh, viscera pooling beneath him. Silence, save for the drip of blood on Durasteel.
Vader stared at the carnage, then turned to Ashley. His respirator cycled once, twice.
Efficient. The word dripped with venom, and something colder. Approval. Ashley holstered her blaster. The Inquisitor was compromised.
Vader stepped over the Keldor's corpse, his shadow engulfing her. You presume to deny me victory? I presume to serve the Empire. She held his gaze unflinching. Unless my former general prefers wasted time over results. A beat. Then Vader's gloved hand rose, not to strike, but to hover near her temple. A flicker of Anakin's smirk echoed in his tone. Breyer, still unconventional.
He turned, cape billowing. Clean this cesspit. And Commodore.
She stiffened. Next time. Wait your turn. Epilogue. The edge of the blade. Ashley stood alone in the hangar, the Keldor's blood drying on her boots. The third sister's corpse stared emptily, her expression frozen in rage. A clone technician approached, offering a datapad. Orders, sir? Incinerate the bodies. No records. She scrolled through casualty reports. Rebel cell neutralized. Jedi eliminated. Emperor's will done. Her comlink buzzed. A priority alert. Assemble fleet at Mustafar. New targets. Onderon. Jedi suspected. Ashley glanced at the scorch marks where Vader's saber had carved the deck. Anakin once saved her over Onderon, shielding her gunship from a droid battery. Now she'd burn it to ash. Set course, she ordered. As the Imperial Fist's engines roared, Ashley buried the holodisk of Ahsoka's message deeper into her quarters' walls. Let the Jedi run. Let the rebels hope. She was the Empire's blade, and blades did not bleed. Ashley Breyer moved like a storm given form. The training deck of the Imperial Fist echoed with the hiss-crack of vibroblades. Ashley pivoted, her blade slicing upward in a Mandalorian Keldabe kiss, a move she'd learned from a grizzled warrior on Conquered Dawn, to parry the training droid's electrostaff. Sparks rained as she spun, sweeping her leg to knock the droid off balance. A flash of memory, Ahsoka's voice, sharp during a spar on the Resolute. Jedi rely on foresight, beat them by changing the rhythm.
The droid lunged, staff humming. Ashley feinted left, then dropped into a crouch, slashing its knee joint. As it staggered, she jammed the vibroblade into its chest plate, twisted and ripped free. Oil sprayed like black blood.
Again! She barked, wiping sweat from her brow.
3 more droids activated, their programming synced to replicate Jedi combat stances. Form 3 defensives, form 5 counters. Ashley grinned. She'd spent years dissecting holovids of Anakin and Obi-Wan's duels. Jedi were predictable.
The first droid struck high, aiming for her shoulder. She ducked, rolling behind it, and plunged her blade into its spine. The second came low, staff whirling. She vaulted over it, planting a boot on its head to launch herself at the third. Mid-air, she yanked a hidden holdout blaster from her thigh rig and fired, point blank, into its photoreceptor. Commodore! A clone lieutenant, CT-8011, Strike, appeared at the chamber's edge, datapad in hand. Admiral Constantine reports insurgent activity on Onderon's southern continent. They're using old separatist tunnels. Ashley decapitated the last droid with a backhand slash. Seal the exits. Flood the tunnels with nerve gas. Strike hesitated. The rebels are civilians, former Republic loyalists. A cold flicker in her chest. Ahsoka's voice again. You don't have to burn the whole forest to kill a rancor. Collateral damage is their choice, Ashley said, tossing her vibroblade to a weapons droid for cleaning. And Constantine's a fool. Deploy the 212th to secure the eastern ridges. If the rebels run, they'll head for the old Chun outpost. Strike blinked. Sir, the 212th are shock troopers. They'll slaughter... They'll herd. She tapped the holomap on his datapad, zooming in on a narrow canyon. Ambush points here. Ion mines to disable their speeders. Survivors get one chance to kneel. The clone swallowed. And if they refuse? Ashley retrieved her blade, its edge glinting. Then Onderon's deserts will finally bloom. Later, officers' quarters. The vibroblade gleamed under the dim light as Ashley oiled its serrated edge. Her eyes flicked to a hidden compartment in the wall,
A single holocron, stolen from the Inquisitor's corpse, glowed faintly. Inside, a fragmented message from the Keldor Jedi. The Force weeps for you, Breyer. But it waits.
She snapped the compartment shut. A chime. Strike's voice. Lord Vader's shuttle approaches. Ashley stood, donning her cap. Let him come. Let him see the weapon the Empire had forged. Blades didn't weep. Blades cut. The blade ignited with a scream.
Crimson light bathed the Imperial fist's hanger, the corrupted kyber crystal wailing like a gutted animal. Ashley's saber hummed in her grip, its hilt a lethal masterpiece of polished durasteel white and aureate filigree, the crossguard vents shaped like Mandalorian sigils. She'd spent nights forging it in secret, melding the Third Sister's fractured crystal with shards of Beskar stolen from a Death Watch corpse. It wasn't a Jedi's weapon. It wasn't a Sith's. It was hers.
Vader's respirator hissed as he emerged from the shadows, his own blade unlit. You scavenge relics, Commodore. Ashley deactivated the saber, clipping it to her belt. I repurposed tools. The Jedi's weakness was sentiment. The Inquisitor's was pride. I discard both.
He stepped closer, the air crackling. A lightsaber in the hands of a soldier is a child with a thermal detonator. She didn't flinch. I've disarmed children before. The test. Vader's blade slashed without warning, a killing strike aimed for her neck. Ashley ignited her saber, the crimson blade meeting his in a shower of sparks. She'd expected this. Anakin had always tested loyalty through combat. He pressed down, forcing her to one knee. You mimic Jedi forms. No, she gritted, pivoting into a Mandalorian reverse grip. I hunt them. Her vibroblade shot from her sleeve into her free hand. She slashed at his chest plate, scoring the black durasteel. Vader recoiled, more from surprise than pain, and Ashley spun away, putting distance between them. Form 7, Vader rumbled. Juyo, the Inquisitor's rage.
Ashley smirked, mixed with Achani footwork, and a twist. She flicked her wrist. The saber's blade split into a forked tip mid-swing, a modification stolen from Dooku's archives, nearly shearing off Vader's shoulder guard.
He retaliated with a force push that hurled her across the hangar. Ashley slammed into a TIE fighter's wing, her ribs screaming, but rolled to her feet. Blood trickled from her nose.
The crystal resists you, Vader said, advancing. It knows you lack the Force.
Ashley thumbed a switch on her hilt. The blade's crimson hue deepened, its scream rising to a shriek. It doesn't need to obey, just bleed. She lunged, feinting with the vibroblade before jabbing the saber toward his respirator. Vader deflected, but not before her vibroblade grazed his control panel. Alarms blared in his chest unit.
For a heartbeat, the hangar lights flickered. And in that darkness, Ashley saw it. A flicker of Anakin in the tilt of his mask. A old habit. A tell.
She struck. Her saber scraped his right lens, cracking it. Vader roared, his rage a tidal wave that sent crates and tools flying. Ashley skidded back, her boots smoking. Silence, then a sound like grinding metal. Vader was lachened. You fight like a rancor with a grudge, he said, deactivating his blade. The Jedi would call it heresy.
Ashley wiped blood from her lip. Good thing I killed them all.
Aftermath. In her quarters, Ashley dismantled the saber. The crystal pulsed in her palm, its crimson glow fractured by a hairline crack. Her own soul, perhaps, screaming louder than the kyber. She'd felt it during the duel. A pull. A hunger. Not the Force, but something older. Something that didn't care if she was Jedi, Sith, or Butcher.
A holocom chimed. Krell's sneering face materialized. "Commodore, the Emperor requests your presence on Malachor. A delicate operation."
Ashley slotted the crystal back into its hilt. Targets.
Jedi remnants. A temple, buried in ash. You'll leave at once.
The transmission died. On her desk, the cracked holocron from the Keldor buzzed faintly. Ashley crushed it. Coruscant, Imperial Palace, Throne Room. The air in the throne room tasted of ozone and decay. Emperor Palpatine's skeletal fingers drummed against the armrest of his obsidian throne, his hooded gaze fixed on the towering hologram of Darth Vader. The Dark Lord's voice boomed through the chamber, distorted by the scarred void of hyperspace.
"She is efficient," Vader intoned. "A blade honed by our hand. The Jedi's poison has not tainted her."
Palpatine's lipless smile widened. "Yet you hesitate, Lord Vader. Does her ambition unsettle you?" A pause. The hologram flickered. "She is no Jedi, but power corrupts."
"Ah, but corruption can be useful," the Emperor rasped, gesturing to a robed aide. "Summon Commodore Breyer. Let us appraise this blade of yours."
Imperial Hangar Bay Delta. Ashley's shuttle touched down in a storm of hydraulic sighs. Outside, a phalanx of royal guards stood motionless, their crimson armor swallowing the light. She adjusted her newly forged Grand Admiral insignia, not yet official, but the weight felt inevitable, and strode into the palace's belly. The halls whispered. Murals of the Republic's fall lined the walls, replaced by skeletal renditions of Imperial starfleets. At the throne room's gates, 2 shadow guards crossed their force pikes. "Weapons," one growled. Ashley unhooked her lightsaber, its white gold hilt gleaming. The guard reached for it,
and froze as the blade ignited, its crimson tip kissing his throat. "Touch it," she said softly, "and I'll redesign your face."
The doors slid open. The coronation. Palpatine's yellow eyes bored into her as she knelt. Vader loomed at his side, a monument of durasteel and fury.
"Grand Admiral Breyer," the Emperor crooned. "Rise and behold your destiny."
She stood. The title coiled around her like a serpent, Grand Admiral. Only Thrawn and a handful of others bore it. Now she, a woman who'd once traded ballroom gowns for blood-soaked battlefields, would command sectors. "Your ingenuity on Lothal and Malachor pleases us," Palpatine said, steepling his fingers. "But true power requires sacrifice."
A holoprojector activated, displaying a nameless mid-rim world. "A rebel cell festers here. You will cleanse it, burn their hope, and in its ashes—" He leaned forward, his breath reeking of tombs. "Plant our banner."
Ashley bowed. "As the Emperor wills." Vader stepped forward, his cracked lens reflecting her saber. "The weapon. You wield it. Adequately." She met his gaze. "I wield what the Empire provides." Palpatine's laugh was a dry rasp. "Modesty? How quaint. You will depart at once. The eclipse awaits your command." The eclipse. The eclipse, a Executor-class star dreadnought, hung above Coruscant like a scythe. Ashley's new uniform, black threaded with gold, felt heavier than armor. On the bridge, crewmen snapped to attention, their eyes wide with terror and awe.
"Status," she demanded.
A clone admiral, her admiral now saluted. "Fleet's primed Grand Admiral, the Iron Fist and Ravagerar on standby, awaiting your orders."
She stared at the sea of stars. Somewhere out there, Ahsoka's ghost lingered. "Bring light," the Togruta had begged. "Set course for the mid-rim," Ashley said. "Activate the planet killer protocols." The Admiral paled. "Ma'am, the target's population is 4.2 billion. And everyone a rebel sympathizer." She leaned over the holomap, her reflection fractured by 100 star systems. "Burn them all." Epilogue. The Emperor's Whisper. In her quarters, Ashley unclipped the lightsaber. The crystal scream had softened to a whimper, its crimson bled to a diseased pink. She'd felt it during the audience, a tremor in the Force as Palpatine's gaze slithered into her mind. He'd seen the fracture, the doubt. A chime. The Emperor's face filled her holocom, his image warped by static. "Grand Admiral, you felt it, did you not? The Jedi's feeble hope?" She kept her voice steel. "Hope is a cancer. I excise it." "Indeed." His grin split the screen. "But cancers return, unless the blade is relentless." The transmission died. On her desk, a hidden compartment hissed open, revealing Ahsoka's last holocron. Its blue glow bathed the cracked kyber crystal. "Bring light." Ashley sealed it away. Blades didn't light torches. Blades cut. Imperial Star, Dreadnought Eclipse, War Room. The holographic stratagem of the mid-rim target, Tapasi Prime, a jungle world turned rebel haven, rotated above the holotable, its orbital defenses highlighted in pulsing red. Ashley's finger hovered over the Eclipse's superlaser trigger coordinates when the doors hissed open. Grand Admiral Thrawn entered, his stride deliberate, hands clasped behind his back. His pristine white and gold uniform seemed to absorb the war room's harsh light, the crimson eyes beneath his angular brow fixed on her. A silent ISB aide trailed him, clutching a datapad adorned with glyphs from a dozen dead cultures.
"Grand Admiral Breyer," Thrawn said, his voice smooth as frozen mercury. "Your tactics at Lothal and Malachor were instructive."
Ashley didn't turn. "And your observation is noted. The Emperor didn't mention a co-commander." "There is no Thrawn replied, circling the holotable. "Merely context. Tapasi's rebels are led by General Hera Syndulla, a Twi'lek veteran of Ryloth. Her strategies borrow from Lasat guerrilla manuals and Corellian romantic poetry." He gestured to his aide, who projected a hologram of Syndulla's fleet, outdated hammerheads and stolen Gazantis. "She will feign a retreat to the northern jungles, luring your ground forces into a fungal bog laced with seismic charges." Ashley's jaw tightened. "I don't do ground forces." She tapped the console. The Eclipse's superlaser array glowed. "Orbital purge. Clean. Efficient."
Thrawn's lips thinned. "Ah, the Eclipse's firepower is formidable, but a scalpel often proves sharper than a hammer." He zoomed in on a cluster of ancient ziggurats near Tapasi's equator. "These structures are sacred to the native Tapasi culture. Syndulla's fighters hide here, believing you'll avoid collateral damage."
"They're wrong." "Yes, but consider..." Thrawn's datapad flickered with a Tapasi mural, mythic warriors bowing to a starry conqueror. "Symbolism. Reduce these ruins to ash, and you martyr them. Enter the labyrinth, and you break them." Ashley finally turned, her eyes narrowing. "You want me to play games while rebels regroup?"
Thrawn's gaze flicked to the lightsaber at her hip. "I want you to win. The difference is duration."
0400 hours, Tapasi Prime orbit.
The Eclipse's hangar bay trembled as Thrawn's Chimera slid into formation, its ion engines humming a discordant counterpoint to the dreadnought's roar. Ashley stood aboard her command shuttle, watching Thrawn's personal guard, a squad of black-clad Nogri death commandos, board TIE defenders modified with art. Sleek calligraphy adorned the wings, mimicking Tapasi storm patterns. "He's baiting you," muttered her adjutant, Lieutenant Cade, a scarred veteran of the Clone Wars. "Thrawn hates rivals."
"He's baiting Syndulla," Ashley said, checking her blaster. "But I don't leave traps unspring." She nodded to the hangar's shadowed corner. 3 platoons of dark troopers stood motionless, their obsidian armor etched with kyber reactive Fu Wen. Thrawn's scalpel required her hammer. 0530 hours, Tapasi jungles. Ashley's boots sank into neon orange mud as she stepped off the shuttle. Thrawn waited beneath a crumbling ziggurat, studying a moss-choked relief of Tapasi warriors driving off invaders. "They've buried ion disruptors in the bog," he said, not turning. "Your dark troopers will malfunction within minutes."
"Then you'll distract them," Ashley said, nodding to the Nogri. "While I flush Syndulla." Thrawn's eyes narrowed. "You presume to command me?"
"No." She ignited her lightsaber, its crimson blade painting the ruins in bloodlight. "I'm hunting. Keep up or critique later." The trap. Syndulla's voice crackled over rebel comms. "Fall back. Lure them to Sector Gamma." Ashley's helmet display tracked the fleeing partisans. Too orderly, too slow. She smirked. "Cade, fire cluster missiles at Sector Beta." "But Beta's just trees." "Fire!" The jungle erupted. Ancient trees became shrapnel. Rebel screams echoed as hidden bunkers collapsed. Thrawn's voice cut through the chaos. "Syndulla's command ship is a repurposed Sea Rock Gozanti in the southern canopy. Disabling it will..." Ashley muted him. "Dark troopers, scorch the south. Leave the engines intact." The drones surged forward, their flamethrowers incinerating the canopy. The Sea Rock's silhouette emerged, engines glowing hot. Syndulla's voice, raw now. "All units, protect the..." Ashley's vibroblade slit the throat of a Twi'lek spotter. "Too late, General." The lesson. Thrawn found her at the CROC's smoldering husk, Syndulla in binders. The Twi'lek's green skin was streaked with ash, her gaze defiant. "You butchered a forest to catch one ship," Syndulla spat. "Butchered?" Ashley crouched, gripping the Twi'lek's leku. "I pruned." Thrawn observed silently, then knelt to examine a charred data drive. "Her codes are falsified. This was a decoy." Ashley stood. "I know." A roar split the sky. The Eclipse's super laser lanced down, vaporizing the northern jungles, and the real rebel armada hiding beneath. Thrawn's eyebrow arched. "Efficient." "You taught me that," Ashley said, turning away. "Symbolism and scalpel." Debrief. Eclipse Bridge. Thrawn lingered as crews hauled Syndulla to the brig. "Your lightsaber, the crystal. It was once Jedi. Now it suffers." Ashley unclipped the hilt, its gold filigree smeared with mud. "Good."
"Pain is a tool," Thrawn said, "but study its source." He placed a holocron on the console, a Sith artifact etched with Rakatan runes. "The Emperor believes you untethered. I believe you pragmatic. Do not prove us both wrong."
He left. Ashley stared at the holocron. Inside, a hologram of a young Thrawn on Scylla, studying Jedi texts. "Bring light." She crushed it in her fist, Blades didn't study. Blades cut. Imperial Shipyards of Quat. Dry Dock Gamma 7. The skeletal remains of a Venator-class Star Destroyer hung suspended in the Zero-G dry dock, its once proud Republic red stripes now stripped to bare durasteel. Below it, the obsidian hull of an Imperial I-class destroyer glided into position, its angular bridge and heavy turbolaser arrays casting a jagged shadow over the graveyard of old warships. Grand Admiral Breyer floated in the observation deck, her white and gold uniform stark against the industrial gloom, datapad in hand.
Decommissioning rate is at 68%, droned a skeletal protocol droid, its joints squeaking. The Resolute, Steadfast, and Venomous have been scrapped. Their clones, retired.
Ashley's gaze didn't waver from the viewport. And the new crews?
Human recruits. Batch 87EX passed their loyalty conditioning. Stormtrooper cadets arrive next cycle.
A flicker of movement caught her eye. A clone in faded 212th armor welded a hull plate on the Imperial way below. His face was unhelmeted, scarred, and old. CT 5597 maybe. Jesse? Number Jesse died on Umbara. Grand Admiral? The droid tilted its head. Shall I expedite the clone removal? No. She pushed off the glass, drifting toward the airlock. I'll handle it. Deck 12. Clone Barracks. The air reeked of Bacta and betrayal. 24 clones sat on bunks, their armor stripped of color, their faces gaunt. They stood as Ashley entered but didn't salute. Orders, sir? The oldest clone, CT6116, Kano, stepped forward, his voice a graveled rasp. Ashley tossed a datapad onto a bunk. Transfer to the Endurance's scrapyard detail. Pension granted. Service concluded. Kano didn't blink. And if we refuse? She thumbed her lightsaber. Crimson light bathed the room. Then you die as traitors. Choose. The clones exchanged glances. Kano's hand twitched toward a hidden DC-17. CT-6116, Ashley said softly. Ryloth, Second Battle of Tan Province. You held the ridge while Skywalker's Legion retreated, the last loyal soldier. His jaw tightened. That man's dead. Yes. She deactivated the blade. But his pension isn't. Take it. Leave. Bridge of the Imperial I-class destroyer Iron Will. Vader's shuttle docked with a thunderous clang. Ashley waited at attention, her new fleet arrayed behind her. 20 Imperial Is, their dagger prows gleaming, flanked by Aquitans-class command cruisers retrofitted with Tarkin's latest ion disruptors.
The Venators were relics, Vader boomed, striding onto the bridge. Yet you hesitate.
I don't. Ashley gestured to a hologram of Quat's scrapping fields. The Venator's hangars held 192 fighters. The Imperial I carries 72 TIE variants. We've compensated with automated probe squads and conscript-piloted Z-95s. Vader's respirator hitched, a sound almost like Anakin's scoff. Conscripts lack the clone's precision.
They lack their memory, she countered. Clones remember the Jedi. These? She nodded to a stormtrooper recruit fumbling his E11. They remember only the Empire. The test. Rebel saboteurs struck at dawn. Ashley stood on the Iron Will's ventral hull, magnetic boots anchoring her as a fire team of stormtroopers breached a smuggler's freighter docked to the dry dock. Inside, partisan fighters had rigged thermal charges to the Imperial I's hyperdrive core. Hostiles, 6 humans, 2 Twi'leks, barked the stormtrooper captain, his voice muffled by his helmet. They've mined the Gyurk. A vibroaxe split his chest plate. Ashley lunged, her lightsaber severing the attacker's arm. The rebel screamed, and she silenced him with a bolt to the skull. "Grenades!" shouted a Twi'lek, hurling a pulse detonator. Ashley caught it mid-air with the Force, no, not the Force, a magnetic gauntlet trick she'd stolen from a Mandalorian, and tossed it back. The explosion crumpled the bulkhead, sucking 3 rebels into the void. The last rebel, a boy no older than 16, trembled behind a fuel drum. Please." She shot him through the heart. "Clean this up," she ordered the gawking recruits. "And learn." Aftermath, Imperial officer's mess. Thrawn found her dissecting a data crystal from the freighter. "Your clones would have detected the sabotage." "My clones are gone," she said, not looking up. "The recruits will adapt. Or die." He placed a holodisc on the table, a security feed from the clone barracks. Kano and his men marched onto a transport, their postures defeated. "Sentiment is a luxury, Grand Admiral. Even for you." Ashley crushed the crystal. That wasn't sentiment. It was efficiency. Dead clones can't inspire rebellion. Thrawn's gaze lingered on her lightsaber. "And your weapon? Does it serve efficiency, or hunger?" She stood, the holodisc shattering under her boot. "It serves the Empire." Epilogue, the new fleet. The iron will lead the armada into hyperspace, its shadow swallowing the last Venator being torn apart in drydock. Ashley stared at the shrinking speck of Quat, her reflection superimposed over the stars. In her quarters, a hidden compartment hissed open. Inside, Ahsoka's homing beacon, still blinking. She ejected it into a trash chute. Blades didn't hesitate. Blades cut. Planet XT-991, Outer Rim Territories. The 3 Imperial I-class star destroyers, Iron Will, Vengeance, and Ashley's flagship, Eclipse, ripped through the planet's bruised cloud cover like blades through rotten silk. Their shadows swallowed the ramshackle city below, a scab of durasteel hovels and flickering neon signs clinging to the edge of a sulphurous desert. From the Eclipse's bridge, Ashley stared down at the squalor, her reflection in the viewport bisected by the jagged scar across her left eye, a vicious mark left by Quinlan Vos during their brutal clash on Malachar. Life signs concentrated in the market district, droned a sensor officer. Scans confirm a Force-sensitive presence. Probability, 98.7%. Ashley tightened her white gloves. Level the outskirts. Drive them into the center. Turbolasers flared. The horizon burned. Ashley's arrival, the menace. Her shuttle, Obsidian Dagger, touched down in the city square, crushing a rebel propaganda holostatue of Padme Amidala under its landing claws. Ashley descended the ramp, her Grand Admiral uniform immaculate, her black cloak flaring like wings. Behind her, a battalion of stormtroopers fanned out, blasters trained on the shivering crowd. "You've got 5 minutes to hand over the Jedi," she said, her voice amplified by the shuttle's external calm. "Or I start peeling this city apart." Slowly. A child whimpered. An old man spat. Ashley unsheathed her lightsaber, the corrupted crimson blade screaming to life, and plunged it into the ground. The cobblestones superheated, glowing molten. Tick-tock. The trap. Quinlan Vos emerged from a smoke-choked alley, his kiffer tattoos glowing faintly under grime. He wore scavenged stormtrooper armor, a jagged durasteel chain coiled around his forearm like a serpent. "Still dramatic as ever, Breyer." Ashley's blade hummed at her side. "Still hiding in garbage, Vos?" He smirked. "You used to hate the Empire's theatrics. Now you're their poster girl." She flicked her fingers. Stormtroopers dragged a line of civilians to their knees. Blasters pressed to skulls. "You've got 3 seconds to surrender. Or I make this personal." Quinlan's smile died. "You wouldn't." 1. He stepped forward. 2. His hand tightened around the chain. 3. A stormtrooper fired. A Twi'lek woman collapsed. "No." Quinlan whipped the chain through the air, sparks flying as he struck a power conduit. Flames roared to life along its length, transforming it into a blazing lash. Ashley lunged. The duel. The fiery chain cracked against her saber, molten links scattering like shooting stars. Quinlan fought like smoke, fluid, unpredictable, using the crumbling market stalls as cover. He swung the chain around a support beam, yanking it down to block her path. Ashley rolled beneath the debris, her Mandalorian training guiding her into a close-quarters grapple. She jabbed her vibroblade toward his ribs, but he twisted, the chain wrapping around her wrist like a burning viper. "You used to care about innocence," Quinlan barked, yanking her off balance. "I care about order," Ashley snarled, slicing through the chain with her saber. The severed links clattered to the ground, still smoldering. "Something your Jedi ideals never achieved." He vaulted onto a rooftop, Ashley following. Below, stormtroopers herded screaming civilians into speeder trucks. Quinlan's gaze flickered to a young girl being dragged by her leku. Ashley seized the opening. Her vibroblade slashed his thigh. He stumbled, blood seeping through his armor. "Yield," she demanded, pressing her saber to his throat. Quinlan grinned, blood staining his teeth. "You forgot my party trick, Ash." He grabbed her wrist. Retrocognition. Memories flooded her. Geonosis. Ashley, 18, laughing as Quinlan taught her to throw a vibroshiv. "Aim for the joints, kid. Droids hate that." Ryloth. Quinlan hauling her out of a burning LAAT, his hand warm on hers. "Stay alive, Breyer. The galaxy needs stubborn brats like you." The Jedi Temple, burning. Clones gunning down younglings. Quinlan screaming, "Ashley, why?" She recoiled, breaking contact. Quinlan swung the flaming chain in a wild arc, the searing tip catching her cheekbone. Ashley staggered, her hand flying to the fresh gash across her left eye. Blood seeped through her fingers as the scar that would forever mark her took shape. "You saw it," Quinlan panted. "What the Empire did. What you helped them do." Ashley rose slowly, water dripping from her hair. "I saw chaos. And I ended it. The final gambit." Quinlan leapt into the crowd, using his retrocognition to snatch a stormtrooper's rifle. He fired at the Eclipse's hull, a glancing hit, but enough to trigger the ship's anti-personnel batteries. "All units, take cover." Ashley barked into her comlink. Too late. The Eclipse's automated defenses lit up the square, shredding friend and foe alike. Quinlan vanished into the chaos. Ashley sprinted after him, blaster in one hand, saber in the other. They crashed into a cantina, its patrons scattering. Quinlan hurled a thermal detonator. Ashley Mandalorian wrist rocket launched it into the ceiling. The blast collapsed the roof, raining durasteel. "You're slipping, Jedi," she taunted, cornering him at the bar. Quinlan grabbed a bottle of Corellian rum, smashing it. The liquid ignited on his chain, creating a firestorm whip. "And you're lying. To the Empire. To yourself." They clashed again, flames licking the walls. Quinlan's strikes grew desperate, his leg wound slowing him. Ashley feinted left, then slammed her armored knee into his ribs. He crumpled, his chain skittering away. She aimed her blaster. "Any last words?" Quinlan laughed bitterly. "Yeah. Check your 6. The cantina's fuel generator exploded. Escape and aftermath. Ashley woke in the Eclipse's med bay, her armor scorched, her ears ringing. A Bacta patch sealed the raw scar across her eye. A clone medic handed her a datapad. Quinlan Vos status, escaped. Civilian casualties, 87%. City, uninhabitable. Colonel Krell's hologram sneered from the corner. "The Emperor is displeased." Ashley stood, wincing. "Tell the Emperor the Jedi's days are numbered." "And his precious rebellion?" She tossed the datapad into a trash incinerator. "Ashley." She froze. Quinlan's voice, crackling through a stolen calm frequency, "This isn't over. The galaxy's bigger than your empire." She crushed the calm in her fist. Bigger, she thought, staring at the smoldering planet below. But not stronger. The Eclipse's engines roared as the fleet ascended. Behind them, the city burned. Blades didn't mourn. Blades cut. XT-991 orbit, Imperial Star Destroyer Eclipse. Ashley stood at the bridge viewport, her scarred eye throbbing beneath a fresh Bacta patch. The smoldering ruins of the city below faded as the Eclipse ascended, leaving behind a tomb of ash and durasteel. Colonel Krell's hologram flickered beside her, his voice a serpent's hiss. "The Emperor demands an audience, Grand Admiral," he sneered. Vos's escape has tainted your victory. She didn't turn. Tell His Majesty I'll deliver the Jedi's head. Or die trying. The hologram dissolved. In its place, Thrawn's icy baritone cut through the silence. A flawed strategy, Admiral. Vos survives because you allowed it. Ashley's hand twitched toward her lightsaber. Explain. Thrawn's hologram materialized, arms folded. You cornered him in a cantina with one exit. Yet you ignored the ventilation shafts, a favored Jedi escape route since the Clone Wars. Curious. She glared. You lecture me on Jedi tactics? I lecture you on sentiment. His red eyes narrowed. You fight like a Jedi. Plan like a Mando. But you bleed like a human. The bridge doors hissed open. A stormtrooper captain saluted stiffly. Grand Admiral. Rebel fleet detected near the Hydian Way. Intel confirms. Jedi leadership. Ashley's scar burned. Details. A VCX-100 light freighter, the captain said. Designation, Ghost. Hyperspace en route to Hydian Way. In the Eclipse's war room, Ashley studied the hologram of the Ghost, its profile sleek, its crew manifest scrolling, Hera Syndulla, Garazeb Aurelios, Ezra Bridger. The last name glowed red. Ezra Bridger, Thrawn mused, materializing beside her. A Padawan who survived Order 66. His master, Kanan Jarrus, perished on Lothal. He fights with creative brutality. Ashley zoomed in on Bridger's file, a teenager with wild hair and a lightsaber blade that split into twin greens. He's no Jedi. Just a pest. Thrawn tilted his head. And pests require innovation. Deploy the TIE defenders. But leave the Ghost intact. Its crew will lead us to larger prey. Ashley's comlink buzzed. A clone engineer's voice, Grand Admiral, the recruits, they've botched the Dark Trooper uplink. The droids are rogue. She cursed. The Empire's new recruits were softer than clone bone. Jettison the droids into the nearest star. And execute the officer who trained them. Hydian Way ambush. The Ghost spun through the asteroid field, its engines flaring as Ezra deflected TIE fire with his saber. There's a Star Destroyer coming in hot. He shouted. Hera banked hard. That's no destroyer, it's a dreadnought. The Eclipse blotted out the stars, its ion cannons charging. Ashley's voice boomed across the comm, surrender, Bridger. Or watch your crew vaporize. Ezra's hologram flickered on her screen, his eyes blazing. You're the one who killed Quinlan's friends. Ashley leaned forward. I'll kill yours too. The Eclipse's tractor beam locked onto the Ghost. Ezra leapt onto the hull, his saber slicing through the beam emitter. Mandalorian, Ashley muttered, activating her mag boots. Let's dance, kid. The duel. Ezra met her on the Eclipse's dorsal hull, his twin blades a whirlwind of green. Ashley's crimson saber screamed as she parried, her vibroblade slashing at his knees. You're just like Vader. Ezra spat. Vader wishes he was this efficient, she shot back, driving him toward a damaged turbolaser. He force-pushed a loose panel into her chest. Ashley staggered, her scar splitting open. Blood dripped into her eye as she retaliated with a Mandalorian rocket kick, slamming him into the hull. You're slow, she taunted. Your master died too soon to teach you? Ezra roared, his blades merging into a single staff. He struck like a Nexu, wild, primal. Ashley feigned a stumble, then yanked a concealed whipcord from her vambrace, tangling his legs. Jedi, she sneered, pressing her saber to his throat. All passion. No. A plasma bolt seared her shoulder. Sabine Wren stood atop a TIE fighter, her Beskar painted in rebel orange. Let him go. Ashley smirked. Or what, artist? You'll sketch my funeral? Sabine fired again. Ashley rolled, dragging Ezra as a human shield. Eclipse, fire on my mark. No. Ezra unleashed a force wave, hurling her into the bridge tower. Retreat and revelation. The Ghost vanished into hyperspace, leaving the Eclipse's hull scarred and smoldering. Thrawn found Ashley in the med bay, her eye sutured shut. Bridger's power grows, he said. As does your weakness. She grabbed his collar. I don't lose. You did. He placed a holodisc on her bed, security footage of Ezra's escape. The Emperor sees all, Admiral. Fail again, and he'll replace you. With me. Ashley crushed the disc. That night, she opened a locked compartment in her quarters. Inside, Quinlan's chain, still bloodstained. Ring light, Ahsoka's voice echoed. She ignited her saber, its crimson glare reflecting in her scarred eye. Blades don't repent. Blades cut. If you enjoyed the audio story above, please like and subscribe, and I will try to create more similar content. Thanks for sticking around. Until next time.